start by asking you some questions. So please raise your hand if you are super excited that your student is a senior. Okay, great. 2 hands. Please raise your hand if you are terrified that your student is a senior. Terrified might be slower. How many of you cannot wait till your student gets the heck out of Brookline High? Okay. How many of you know that your student, and maybe you, if this is your only child student or your last, how many of you know that you will miss Brookline High School terribly? You have to miss me terribly. Okay. Yeah. You do. How many of you raised your hands 4 times? How many? Good. Okay. So a good amount. So you were excited about senior year and terrified. You were excited that your student will be leaving Brookline High School, and you were like, my student or myself, I'm going to miss Brookline High School. Okay.
So on the first day back for seniors and our 3 seniors here, I think that was good for them to see you all answer, because we asked them the same questions, but about them. And I would say 99% of the seniors raised their hands for all 4 questions. So I think that speaks volumes about the mix of emotions that is senior year. The excitement, all the wonderful things that come with being a senior, and all the challenges, the stress and anxiety, next steps, all those things, which is what we're going to talk about tonight, that milieu that you're all living in, that we're living in, that our seniors here are living in, and the challenges that that brings, and how we can help them and help ourselves.
So important for you to know that, you know, the emotional sort of conflict that you are feeling, your student is also feeling that. So we have parents and guardians in conflict and like, oh my gosh, it's exciting and I'm terrified. And we have students that are like in conflict, oh my God, I'm super excited and I'm terrified. And then you two come together. So we're going to talk about that today with Mary Minot, June Harris, and our peer leaders who will introduce themselves.
Okay, so I'm Mary Minot. I've hopefully met many of you over the years. I do all classes, usually PTO meetings. This is my last one for your class. So I had 2 children, and I had one, my first child, who absolutely told me more than I ever needed to know about what was going on with her, and I don't know if that was more stressful than the second one. I had no idea what was going on inside him the entire senior year, except for the expressions of his face that were like painful for much of the time. But otherwise, he just, you know, and I just never saw his college essay, didn't want to tell me where he was applying, grumbled whenever I would try to ask him questions about it. Luckily, there were people at school that were helping him along the way a little bit. But I hear a lot from parents also that that they have children that maybe are overstressed and kind of won't get out of their bed sometimes or out of their lap, and then students who just are just keeping their parents at arm's length. And I think for some parents that may even be more stressful because you just don't know what's going on inside, and then you're like, how do I help them if I don't know what's going on inside them? Right? That can be really tough. So what we did was we went to our experts on adolescence. And they went around and asked some of their peers and other seniors, they're all seniors, themselves, so what's going on inside of seniors? What are seniors dealing with right now? And can we share that with this group of senior parents so that they maybe, some of maybe your child, but maybe some of what you might hear might resonate with what you're experiencing at home. But as I said, there's a huge spectrum of what kids are going through and how they're relating at home. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and they're going to just share with you a little bit of what they're hearing from seniors. And then after that, we're going to have Suzanne Slattery, who is a parent of a senior. So
with you.
Right there with you. She's also a psychologist and has worked in higher education, so she kind of has it from both ends. So she's going to share a little bit what's going on inside of her as well, and some of the things that maybe she's trying to do to kind of cope with the stressors at home around that as well. And also just a great book that many people may have seen already, but she'll share a little bit of it as well. And actually going to have some time for questions and answers. Everybody has a sheet in front of you, and this is great because one of the things when we met with the senior PTO chairs, we were like, what do you hope we're going to get out of this meeting? They were like, we want parents to kind of have a sense of what we're going through as a community as well, and what are the different kind of things that parents are dealing with. So the first question is, there's one thing that you're worried about. We just kind of want to hear from parents around that. And then the second thing is, we're going to collect these so that if there's questions you want to ask the panel, I'm going to let your leaders leave at 8 because guess what, they're seniors and they have a lot on their plate. So we'll start with the questions for seniors first. So if it's a question for seniors, if you could just write for students on there too, so that it's clarified who the question is for, that would be great. So I'm going to let you guys start to lead off and introduce yourselves.
So I'm Olivia. Some things that have stressed me senior year is like the fact that our
Can you hear her back there?
Do
Do you want to stand up? We didn't know we would need a mic tonight. Do you mind standing or not?
I can stand.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Olivia. I'm a senior. Some things that have stressed me out so far this year have been like the fact that first semester grades go to colleges and the workload and managing that with applying to college. And then also the fact that senior year extracurriculars are a lot different. Like on sports teams, I have more of a leadership role than I have in past years, which has been hard to manage with all of my schoolwork and college stuff.
Denise. I have a lot of the same stressors, as you could say. Some of the big ones are, getting on top of deadlines for the college process, as well as regular schoolwork. Also extracurriculars. I'm not in a sport, but I'm in an a cappella group, and in senior year, I did take a leadership role in that. So I'm coordinating, events, talking with people, and that's sometimes a lot to manage. I've heard from my friends that a lot of conversations can be college-dominated within our peers and within parents. So that's something that is always on our minds.
I'm Eva Ernest. I am a senior, and a few of the things that have been big stressors for me are the leadership roles, especially with clubs, because when you are a freshman and a sophomore and a junior, you have a very, very different role in your clubs. You're having fun. It's time to relax. You don't always see what's going on behind the scenes, and then senior year, sometimes you're thrown into this leadership position, even when you're not like the president of the club, and you then have to attend extra meetings and do all these other things that no one really taught you how to do, and so that's something where you kind of just have to like learn while you're going, and it's crazy. And another big stressor right now is finances, because college costs a lot of money, and I'm interested in going to college, and that price tag is kind of like looming over everything, and it's a huge responsibility, and things are crazy.
So what about that? You were sort of thinking, what about if you got into 2 different types of colleges?
Yeah. So one thing that we really want is like very honest conversation about finances, and we really want to hear like what you are thinking, because a lot of the conversations that we have are very kind of like offbeat, like tiny comments about finances or little things that kind of remind us that it's there, but not an honest, true conversation about what it is. And one of the big issues is that I am concerned that I am going to get into 2 colleges. And one college is going to be a college that I obviously liked a lot, and I applied to, and I worked hard to get into. And it's going to be super cheap. And then the other college is going to be my dream, amazing school that is beautiful and has every single thing that I want. And I'm going to have to pay almost full tuition, or I'm going to get very, very little financial aid. And I'm going to have to make that choice between the 2 colleges. And even though I know that my parents would probably rather me go to the one that is my dream school and amazing, I choice knowing that I'm going to be burdened with student loans when I'm an adult and when I'm moving into the future, which can be very scary and a difficult choice to make.
All right. Thank you. I think that's something that resonates with a lot of people. Thank you for sharing that. Want to talk a little bit about competitiveness? Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about like competitiveness, like within like students at the high school. So like I know for me, like I have friends that are applying to like very like prestigious universities and like colleges and stuff, and then I also have friends who are like deciding that they want to take a gap year or they want to apply next year, and like that's super important in the college process. Like college isn't the only like postgraduate plan like you can have, and that's super important to know. And a lot of seniors are like super competitive about where they're applying and like applying to IBs, but it's just like super important that your students applying to schools that they would actually be happy at. Like there are a lot of schools that maybe I could get into and maybe are like better schools than the ones that I'm applying to, but I know I wouldn't be happy at. And like that's just super important in going through the college process. Like you have to be ready to go to college. Like I have definitely considered taking a gap year, or when I get in, like deferring and taking a gap year. And it's just super important because it's so competitive within our school. Like there's so many people who have such great like GPAs, test scores, numbers, and like by then it's just chance. Like I know when my parents were applying to school, like they only had to apply to like 2 or 3 schools, and like it wasn't a big deal. But now like we're all applying to like 10, 11, 12 schools, and like hoping for the best. And it's just super. It's hard because of how competitive it is, and it's like just important to remember that college might not be the best step for every single student, and like that's still okay, and like that doesn't mean like that you're not going to be successful or anything. It just means that you're taking a different route.
What about you were to say in terms of what are something you might want to consider when you're looking at colleges?
When you're looking at colleges, so for myself, I was looking at colleges with like smaller class sizes. That doesn't necessarily mean like actually smaller. Like a lot of my schools are medium sized, but because I was in the special ed program, I was looking for colleges that had opportunities for me to like continue to be successful in that way, which tends to be harder because not every school has those opportunities, but a lot of schools do, and it's just like hard to. That's again what I was saying. Like you just need to find the best fit for you. Like I might see like the most like beautiful school, I love it, like the academics and everything, but in terms of the like actual classroom work, I wouldn't be accommodated in the ways that I need to be, and like that's super important to me.
What do you got there?
I guess my biggest piece of advice, we can't tell you what to do. You guys know your child better than anyone. Every senior is different, every person is different. I think the best advice I have is just taking things, as cheesy as it sounds, one step at a time, breaking things up, all the deadlines, all the supplemental essays, the common application, making that into steps, making weekly to-do lists. My mom and I set up monthly meetings with my guidance counselor. That really helped because we made sure everyone was on the same page. I knew what I had to get done. But when she started reminding me every day, I had this thing on my plate, I have to do this and that, it started to get a little overwhelming, and that our relationship suffered sometimes because I felt overwhelmed. I had all this work, there was school and extracurriculars, and I had this whole other thing on my plate that I'd never had before. So as long as you have that talk with your child, not once, but many times, and like it will seem like many times, but just making sure you're on the same page to avoid the constant repetition and it almost seems like nagging to us, honestly.
What are your thoughts about the holiday?
Yes, and then my next point is that conversation needs to stay, if your child wants to, between you and the senior. Thanksgiving is coming up, relatives are coming over, or you may be coming to grandparents, aunts, uncles who haven't seen you in years, and many of my relatives can't imagine me going off to college, and that's very exciting to them, and it's very exciting to me as well. But sometimes I don't want to talk about that, at the dinner table, 24/7. So really have that conversation with your senior, how much they want to talk about it, if they feel comfortable bringing it up, or if it brings them stress. This is a break too. This is our break from first quarter, which was very hard on all of us because first quarter grades are getting sent to colleges, which we all know. Communication is just the most important thing, honestly.
So another big thing that is happening is we are possibly leaving the house. And adulthood means something different to every person and every family. But this is one of those really big steps that's scary and is happening, and we're getting closer to becoming adults. And that is really, really scary for us. And it is something that is kind of always looming over us, and it hits different people at different times, and usually not at all when you're expecting it. But it can be very scary to know that in a year from now, I am not going to probably be seeing my parents all the time. And having that in the back of my head sometimes will affect my interactions with my parents. Especially because you know that even though strengthening your relationship is always a good thing, your relationship in a year is going to be very different, and it can be hard to try and get closer to someone when you know that that's not always going to be there in the same exact way. So in moments when your child is maybe pushing you away, or is fed up or frustrated in any way, just know that they're a little bit scared because adulthood is coming very soon, and it's scary.
All right, thank you guys. So they'll be sticking around for some questions. We're not going to do questions now. We're going to move on and have Suzanne's going to just talk about it from sort of a parent perspective. Suzanne, what are you going through?
Yeah, when Mary asked me to talk, I was like, how can I possibly talk? I'm in the middle of this myself. So I wasn't really sure what I really wanted to say, but I just thought I might share just sort of what the last year has been like, briefly, just kind of really focusing on me and emotionally as a parent. Last year when we started her junior year, in February we decided to do, the weather was going to be really good, so we decided to do a lot of the college tours in February. It turned out to be a beautiful week of weather and around New England, so we just started driving. She had just gotten her license, and so she actually wanted to do most of the driving. And so if you see some more gray hairs, it was a really interesting kind of combination of experiences I'm sure some of you have had. But we saw 8 schools in 1 week, which was crazy, But I really felt at the time like, oh, I'm such a good parent. Like, I'm really on top of this. I feel great. Like, look at me, I got it down. And then spring break came around, and we decided that we would do some more. So I took the week off, which is hard because I'm in a business by myself. So if I don't show up at work, I don't get paid. So, to take the week off was a big deal. So Monday comes, and she's like, well, I haven't really decided where I want to go yet. I'm like, well, you need to decide because it's Monday. And then Tuesday came around, and I went in, and she's sitting there making friendship bracelets. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing? And she's like, what? And so then we had sort of this talk of, okay, so let's look at the computer together. Because we'd seen so many schools, she had just kind of thought, oh, well, we've seen a lot, and we're doing okay, maybe we'll see a couple this week. We actually were able to schedule 4 in that week, and we saw, and our guidance counselor was really saying, go see the bigger one, go see a smaller one, like see a women's college, see Gwen, and really kind of just get a feel at that point about what you're interested in. And I have to say that she would laugh because ever since she was a little girl, I always wanted her to go to women's college. I had gone to women's college, so I was like, of course, she'll want what I wanted. Right. Well, I used to drive her by Smith because we have friends out there. Look at her. There's Smith, It's beautiful there. I didn't go there, but you know, it was just like, that's what I wanted for her, right? So I thought, of course, that I would have this same influence that I always had on her, and in fact, that wasn't the case at all. But she made it very clear when we went on the Smith tour at the end. She was very polite to actually even engage with me to go, because she'd already made it clear she wanted to go to a co-ed school. And as we were finishing the tour, she looked at me and smiled and said, you know, Mom, this is such your school. And I was like, yeah, I guess it is. And because we were looking at a broad range of schools, because that's what we're told to do, right? Like, so do some reaches, do some safeties, you know, we're looking at all different kinds of schools. And I'm getting my heart set on certain ones, you know, and she's getting her heart set on different ones. And I'm trying to just kind of keep my own process to myself, right? What did you think, you know? So the day that we went to UMass Amherst, she already said, like, I don't want to go to UMass, like, I don't want to go there. So we get there, and it's like this most beautiful spring day, right? It's like the first spring day, right? There's skateboards and bikes and people. And so we go, and like the tour guide is like the deciding factor, really, right? So who's your tour guide is really going to judge kind of what your experience is going to be like. So she just goes, so we get, you know, the random tour guide, and we're in this big group of people, and it's Mary, and Mary is the captain of the ultimate team. Well, Claire had just become the captain of the ultimate team. So wow, right? She's like, I love you, Mass. I didn't think I would love you, Mass. Now things have, you know, continued to evolve, but I think that one of the things that's really happened for me is I just get so like hooked on like, yeah, well, we've got our list, right? We're good, yeah. And then it changes, right? And so I find that it's like this roller coaster for me too about like what she wants, and it's an evolution, right? So last year I really had a sense of like, I got this down for the most part. This year it's just been such a different experience for me. Most of the time, Claire's always been really communicative, and this year she's really wanted to do it on her own. She's got great teachers here, she's got great guidance staff, she's really close with people, she loves the adults here, she's involved and active in school, and she knows where to go, and she's just that kind of kid. She's also really good at deadlines and organized. And so anytime I was like, well, what are we doing now? And so let's do now. And now, did you know? And just like what some of the kids here were saying, like, you know, she was like, okay, I got this, you know? And so I had to learn how to, one time I finally said to her, you know, we have our best conversations in the car, what can I do? Like, how can I help? I feel like I'm in the dark. And she's like, Mom, just like make me a snack and just back off, you know? And I was like, oh, okay, I can make snacks. I'm good at snacks. So, you know, so it's been a process, and you know, she's just, I'm so proud of who she is, and you know, the things that she really wants in a school, you know, I had to come to terms with what might be different than what I would want, but I realized that they are very much the things that I raised her to value, and so so it's all kind of coming together now, and of course, we don't know how it's all going to turn out. So, like the last few weeks, I have found it even harder in terms of the uncertainty. You know, it's like I think about her not living with me next year, and I think about, you know, have I told her everything? Have I done my job, right? What else does she need to know? Have I taught? Yes, she does her own laundry. Usually, like, you know, once a month. Like, otherwise it's just on the floor. She's actually really good at like laundry, and like she knows how to cook her own meals, and she's just, you know, I have taught her well. And you know, it's not perfect, but I think that as a parent, what's the most painful part right now is that, you know, she's letting go, like she's separating from me. And to go through the college process at the same time as her leaving me is so painful at times, and yet so exhilarating and exciting. And so it is like this roller coaster, right? It's really a challenge. And I guess what I want to say too is like how Mary asked me to just say a little bit about, you know, sort of when we think about some of the things that the kids have said about, you know, like what school you're going to get into in the name. I think that what I've learned in the last couple of months is like when people ask me, my friends or other people, family, and they say, so what's she thinking? What's she thinking? I actually decided not to say. I just said, oh, we're just, you know, we're just not there, and I'm not naming names. I just don't think it's very helpful. It kind of creates a sense of competitiveness, And people are really insistent too. So I'm really mindful about not asking other people the names of the colleges they're looking at. I don't ask her friends kind of where they're looking, or I don't actually ask them about college at all. We talk about other things, and I think that's really important to do. And then finally, sort of, how do I manage my own stress? Because, this book has been super helpful to me, which is Frank Bruni, Where You Go Is Not Who You Be. If you haven't read it, it's just a really great read. And it really talks about this admissions mania that we can really get caught up in. And it's like a virus, that we can get so caught up. And for me, it's like I have to be really careful. Like, where she ends up is not like me trying to get the A+ in parenting, right? And that's what it can feel like at times. Like somehow the name of where she goes is going to match kind of if I did a good job, and who she is as a person, and is she kind, is she cooperative, does she work hard, does she care about people? These are the things that are most important to me. So I don't know if I have a minute to read this letter.
Absolutely, yep, let me just pick up the cards.
So my favorite quote in this book is a story. It's a story about a boy named Matt, and Matt has Ivy aspirations, and so he really wants to go to. He wants to go to an Ivy, and his case it was Yale and Princeton or Brown. He had all the pieces. Great SAT scores, great grades. He was really active. He was an athlete. He had everything. There was no reason for him not to be accepted at an Ivy. And so right before he got his letters in the mail, his parents actually wrote him this letter, and so I'll read it to you. Dear Matt, on the night before you received your first college response, we wanted to let you know that we could not be any prouder of you than we are today. Whether or not you get accepted does not determine how proud we are of everything you've accomplished and the wonderful person that you have become. That will not change based on what admissions officers decide about your future. We will celebrate with joy wherever you get accepted, and the happier you are with those responses, the happier we will be. But your worth as a person, a student, and our son is not diminished or influenced in the least by what these colleges have decided. If it does not go your way, you'll take a different route to get where you want. There's not a single college in this country that would not be lucky to have you, and you are capable of succeeding at any of them. We love you as deep as the ocean, as high as the sky, all the way around the world and back again, and to wherever you are headed, Mom and Dad. And when I read this, I was like, it really changed my perspective. It made me realize that this is a journey that we're on together, just like all the other journeys. And I think that, Matt's story was that he actually didn't get into an Ivy. He got into Lehigh. And he was so disappointed with those rejection letters. He went into his room, and his mother writes in this book that she had never seen him like this. He was always a talker about his feelings, and he did not want to talk. He just said, leave me alone. He went into his room and he closed the door. He didn't want to eat that night. He stayed in his room. And in the morning he came down and he had a Lehigh t-shirt on. And he said, I'm ready to go. So I think that, for me, trying to take care of myself, I sometimes just lay on the floor just to breathe, And I think it's really helpful. If you haven't tried it, I really recommend it. Especially in the dark. But really, I talked to some of my friends who've gone through the process. They helped me to keep perspective. And, I go to yoga class if I can get there, or I just go for a brisk walk and breathe. And I remember what's most important. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. And I'm sure that, it's this love that you feel, it just doesn't go away. It just gets bigger and bigger, isn't it? And it gets really scary to see them go off. But, we've done a good job.
Some of the cards here, and I think Suzanne was sort of sharing some of what she's been worried about this year, and I shared a little bit about my two children. I remember the first one I had got in early admissions to in her top college, and she just breezed through her senior year, and then my son came along and just did not get into his first choice early decision or early whatever, and then I just remember each sort of rejection letter he got in the mail, I think like hurt me more than it hurt him. But his self-esteem was tied to the name of the college that he got into. I think also kind of coming after his sister, who everything just life just kind of always went so easy for her, they kept him on a waiting list at this one college, right up until they sent him this letter saying, we're closing the waiting list, but we're going to keep a few people on the waiting list. And they never even told him in June that he didn't get into this college. And so but the college he ended up going to was absolutely perfect for him. That it turned out sort of as he had turned down as a gay kid. There was one college that he'd gotten into that he felt like really was not going to be a welcoming community as much for him. And so the college that he ended up going to was just perfect in terms of just a warm, welcoming, sort of smaller environment. And I think as a result of it, did much better than he would have, and ended up getting Fulbright, going to Rio for a year. And I mean, it just turned out well. But I think he was crushed at the time. And again, sort of how kids, when you're talking about this college, this competitiveness and how much they feel like they're judging themselves based on, and it just gets harder each year. It's like, what sports team do you make? What classes are you taking? And as much as everybody, I think Suzanne's example of just people asked us not even answering the question, about where you're going and where you're applying, where you're working. And so just to kind of share a few of the kind of things that the other parents are thinking about is just this is somebody also when he doesn't get into sort of an early decision, how do you sort of playing with the emotions around that, and when their friends are getting into colleges. I mean, this is going to be a big time in December for everybody, and right around the holiday time when we're all leaving here in December, kids are going to start hearing about it, and that's going to be really tough. And then not having enough time to enjoy senior year. What do you guys think about that one? Senior fall, you enjoy a whole lot of free time? No, yeah, right. And I think just to really encourage them, I think senior spring will be different, right? Is senior spring different? Do they get to enjoy themselves a little more senior spring?
You do relax, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know because you haven't been there yet, but there is definitely a different vibe in the air.
Yep. And Wednesday morning this week, there will be a different vibe in the air, right? It's powder pop. It's
Next week.
Next week, right? There's going to be not tomorrow, but I think that the seniors have a great time next week, right? The seniors and the juniors, and so I think it's a wonderful day and event for kids, and that they decorate their hallways, and I think like there's a whole bunch of wonderful sort of rituals of senior there that they really will get to enjoy. So yeah, it's sort of the same. Do you know where you're going? Kind of questions, and just managing responsibilities in college when there's less structure. And we'll be talking about that in spring, right? The spring meeting, right? How to prepare for college. So we have a few questions here. We're going to ask for you guys. Yes, we'll get to that because I wanted to let you guys go home. All right. Let's see. This is a good one. What was the best responses from your parents when you didn't succeed in something you worked hard for? What was something your parents, some response they had when you didn't succeed in something? That's a tough question.
It is, but
Yeah.
just give us a minute.
Yeah.
Think of it.
Okay. While you're thinking about that. So, all right, should we go on to another question? Okay. There we go. How can I help my kid get things done on time? I'm afraid he won't. Is that a big that? There's a lot of those cards in here, yeah? Yeah, go ahead, yes.
So there are a lot of deadlines in the college process, and especially junior year, I often didn't realize they were, coming up, and my mom did, and so she was always scared of kind of not knowing something, of missing a deadline, which I'm sure that everyone is. So she was very on top of that too, and for me personally, I needed that. I needed someone to kind of push me and say, you have this coming up, and you have this coming up next week, and in that sense, we kind of did a lot of things earlier on in the process, which I'm really thankful for now. But yes, in hindsight, I'm looking back, and I'm really thankful that she did she knew what was going on. Some kids, like Claire, which I'm friends of theirs, have that independence, and you know, like, mom, just like, you know, back off, I can do it. And some, you know, like personally, I wanted someone to kind of check in with me and to be on the same page. So I think finding whatever works.
I think also, I am not the best at meeting deadlines fully, and I really like procrastinating. So what I do is I set a pretend deadline that is like maybe a week before the actual deadline, and I try and get everything done by then. And then when I usually don't get everything done, at least I have the majority of things done, and I know what to focus on, and I know what needs more attention, and that way everything is always done by the real deadline.
I would say, sorry, use the school too, so parents, you know, if it gets to this kind of tension point, then you
Come over
can.
here, you're part of our
Yeah, get to the show, but, I mean, Denise mentioned, and I see her having her monthly meetings with her mom and guidance counselor, and they're not long. They're like check-in meetings, and they're like, you know, and so Denise's mom kind of has, you know, a partner, and so it doesn't seem like the nagging, because it's kind of, you know, you agree? I mean, I don't want to speak for you, right? It's coming from the school too, so Darby Nefvier is posting things on the website, if you come to the guidance website, you know, she's listing deadlines and the timelines. So, you know, you could always kind of use the school or direct your student, you know, to the website, like, hey, oh, look, I happened to come across this, did you see it? You know, and you can, you know, navigate that way, like, oh, by the way. You know, so use the school, you know, you're not in it alone. You can reach out to us, and if you're feeling like, I'm just not even communicating, you know, come to the dean and the guidance counselor, and I guarantee you somebody is communicating with your senior. If you don't feel like it's you, somebody here is.
Denise, are your parents from another country? Yeah, so going through this in the United States is a whole different
Yeah,
process.
exactly. So I'm first generation American. You know, my parents didn't go to school in this country, so it was all very new to them. Also, the first child in the family. I have a younger sister, so I'm sure everything will be a lot easier with her. But I was kind of like the guinea pig, and it was stressful for everyone at times. Oh my gosh. But you know, and I think a lot of people in this room, I'm sure, have kind of the same situation. You know, a lot of my friends have parents that grew up in different countries, and systems everywhere around the world are very different. And I guess I sometimes have to tell them to kind of remember that their parents, you know, didn't have the same kind of system. So you have to be patient with each other too, and be patient with us too, because a lot of times we forget that we are kind of grown up into the system of college applications and the Common App, so we, you know, kind of know a little bit about it, and we forget sometimes that things are very different in different places.
So here's a question around, so in terms of sort of balance of homework for year-round athletes, especially with AP classes, senior year, college applications, I know some of you take some AP classes as well, right? So how can we help seniors de-stress and relax during sort of the peak application times of over the holidays? You've got Thanksgiving, you've got the winter break coming up. Parents do try to help the kids. Anybody can answer this as well too, but you know, with sort of stress over the holidays. Thoughts? What do your parents do to help with the stress? You're a little stressed already.
So, I think with athletics specifically, at least for me, like, the fact that I have something right after school that, like, keeps me active helps me be able to, like, go home and focus. Like, I think that, like, extracurriculars actually, like, help you, like, set a schedule to be able to be, like, more efficient when you get home. Like, on days where I can, like, go home right after school, I usually, like, end up staying up later because I don't have, like, a very set schedule. Like, during my volleyball season, I'll get home at like 7:30, and then I'll have to do my homework from like 8 to 10, and then like if I don't finish it, like there's not really much I can do about it because I can be up in the morning early for class, and I like think that's it becomes hard senior year because you have to get home, you have to do your homework, then you also have to worry about deadlines for college applications, and that becomes hard. But I just think the like best thing that a parent can do is just like, and Denise and April was saying this, just like be there for your kid. Like I know that I've had nights where I needed like my parents' help, like just like making a list of what I have to do, or like just things like that, or like saying, okay, these next 2 weeks you have these 2 deadlines, like how are you going to space this out? And just like making schedules for yourself so that you're prepared. So like, I know like this week, like some people have a deadline on, I think it's Wednesday, and like, yeah, tomorrow. So like, I know like, I have friends who their parents have like made them a schedule for this week. They're like, okay, so you have a test on Monday, but you have to have your application in on Wednesday. Like, how are you gonna like space this out in order to be like prepared for those due dates?
So what can your parents do to help you de-stress? What's one thing is helping you stay organized, helping you feel a bit of your executive functioning, kind of getting things straight in your head?
Another thing is being sensitive to your child's own needs with de-stressing and knowing that those might change. So some nights my way of de-stressing is just like talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking forever and ever and ever without stopping for like 20 minutes, sometimes an hour. And some nights my way of de-stressing is sitting by myself in my room with my headphones on and just like watching really, really stupid TV. And both of those are totally valid, and both of those are really important in different ways, and it helps to have just take your child's lead.
As a mother of sons, I learned that video games are actually stressful. I did have to set a timer that said, okay, at a certain time we have to stop, but I think it's like figuring out what you're, as a mother of boys, what your kids like. It's, you know, it could be video games, it could be outside shooting baskets for a little or a while, whatever it is, but just kind of, instead of, oh my god, I can't believe you're playing video games again, you have so much to do. Okay, you have an hour to play video games.
I think that it's important like to give yourself rewards, and like I think different like from past years, I've had to like use my free blocks a lot more this year to do work. So like maybe I won't get my like math homework done the night before because like I need an hour to relax before I go to bed. But then the next day I have free B block and I can do it then. Like you have to use those times and again organize yourself in that way. But I just think that rewards are super important. So like sometimes I'll say, okay, like if I do an hour of homework, I can just like sit and relax for 30 minutes and then focus again. Like it might not all happen in a span of like 3 or 4 hours. Like you have to like give yourself rewards, and I just think that that's super important, especially with the amount of work we have to do this year.
So I love this next question, which reminds me a little bit of what Suzanne was talking about and a little bit what Ava was talking about. It says, the concern was, I want to make sure I spend enough time with her before she leaves the nest. Yeah, and I think a lot of you can kind of resonate with that as well, and I certainly remember that. And so the question is, I want to make sure that she feels loved. So the question is like, you know, what's the best way to say, I love you to your child? I have to really know and feel that. But it's what you were saying too. It's like a push-pull kind of thing. You really want to be close and hold them, right? At the same time, it's like you're like, that's kind of scary. Yeah. So some thoughts about how can your parents kind of have that sense of closeness and love, sort of love with you now, and also respect your space. I guess it's more of almost like just a question to kind of go out there too. It's something that we're always trying to find the balance between that as well when we're at home and reading the child's students' sort of signals, right? When it's even like be up in a room with her headphones on, and when she can come down and maybe get a hug or something. Thoughts on this?
I think acting as a friend first is really important. You know, we're getting older. Some of us are 18, or turning 18 in a couple of months. So just like talking, you know, if I come down at 10 p.m. and I've had a long day, not even a rough day, but I kind of just want to talk to someone. You know, I know that I can talk to one of my parents, usually my mom and my dad, and man a few words, and I can talk to her about, and you know, she'll listen. You know, and just I think making time out of your schedule, because you know, work is a thing that we recognize. But if you had a stressful day, you know, we pick up on that. But when maybe you have some even necessarily have to be coming into our room, just letting us come to you at our own time, when we feel comfortable and when we have something to share. And I think just listening is the most important thing. You don't need to give me a chocolate chip cookie, which I will appreciate, like really. But I think what means the most to me is just having you listen to my little, dramas of the day, or just like little, things that I want to get off my chest. It's nice.
This is another question from the group, and whether it's about you or other students that you know, how does being in a romantic relationship affect the whole college process? Whether you don't have to sort of share personally, but you're seeing somebody or not, but you may be, or you may know students who have some thoughts, and maybe you guys have some thoughts about that as well. Just
Stay away from relationships.
how being in a romantic relationship, how that might be affecting the college process.
Well, I think that it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship, and it can also just be like with your friends. Like you do, like I have so much less time this year than I have had in past years, for a number of reasons, and like you just have to manage that and decide what's more important to you. Like it's really up to the student to like prioritize what is more important to them, and with still giving themselves time to like be with their friends and stuff. But it's really up to the student.
This is funny. I didn't think this question would come up, but yeah, like I guess I'm in a relationship this year, and there has been good things about it, and there has been not so good things about it. He is applying early decision to a very good school, and he has he is going through an academic pathway on that, which I'm sure that a lot of students are, who are 4-year, 3-year athletes, which means that the process is a little different. And I right now am very much I don't know anything. I am very much in the dark, while he is almost at the end. He sees the light in the tunnel, and that has been stressful at times. And my parents have told me, you can't compare yourself to him. If it's giving you stress, just leave it alone. Don't talk about college, which I've taken their advice on and haven't talked about much. But it's also been nice to have someone, even not necessarily your parents, but just a friend to talk to about that. And I think, you guys, it's good to respect that time.
I've actually, just seeing students in counseling here, seeing a lot of what's kind of happened over the course of senior year sometimes is you have like students who may be sort of dating in a couple relationship, and then one of them may decide, oh my God, this is senior spring, and I want to spend time with my friends, and then not communicating that clearly enough to the other person in the relationship, and just you have just a real differences in terms of how much time you want to be spending together, and people's feelings getting hurt as a result of that, and the lack of communication around that. And maybe the person who wants to spend time with friends doesn't want to hurt the other person's feelings, so they don't be direct about it. So my advice to you with your children, if they're in relationships, is good communication. Even around breaking up, if they want to break up with somebody, they should just do it. They should not string somebody on, not talking to them. I mean, you guys do this, right? I mean, in the dean's office, yeah, it's much.
Their prom is a stressor.
Then there's the prom, right?
Yeah.
Right, and getting the dates all all of that can be. But I think really good communication is so important. I've just seen kids getting their feelings really hurt when they keep thinking week after week that we're going to be doing stuff together, and then they don't, and it can be really hard. And then just being clear when they're getting off to college what the end of the relationship is. Most high school relationships you don't know in college. Why did you marry your high school sweetheart?
Yes, he did.
Okay, sorry.
Didn't work.
All right. So I guess I'm going to open it up, I guess, to any other kind of questions. You guys want to come on up here? It's 8 o'clock now? Oh, 8 o'clock. So we told students they would leave at 8 o'clock. So a round of applause to them. Oh, yeah. You guys response to one of the questions? Okay.
somebody wants to go away and lock themselves in their room, letting them do that. But just like a nice gentle hug and then a reminder that you love them, and you care about them, and they're amazing, no matter what.
All right, so nice thing to end on. So you guys will come up and answer other questions if parents have questions. There's some questions here for administrators.
I just want to say again, like, use us, we are here. You know, there are some parents, and you guys know who you are, who, you know, we've kind of schemed behind your seniors, or when they were juniors, or even when they were sophomore, we've schemed on the phone. I've had phone calls, you know who I'm talking to. You know, can you check up on what this is, you know, and I'm like, yes, and we totally play it off, so to this day, he doesn't even know that we communicate. He'll know after graduation, yeah. Actually, we're being televised, so I didn't point to anybody. But like, use us, like, we're here, and the guidance counselors are here, and if you're not, you know, hearing anything, or you're not getting the responses that you want, you know, call us. Let us know how we can help. And, you know, you're not in it alone. You know, we're here, and there is a parade of seniors coming into our dean suite and seeing their guidance counselors. It is constant. So something's going on. They're talking with somebody. If they're not talking to you, trust me, it is a very busy place. So don't be afraid to reach out. Anything you want to say?
Sure, and I think, you know, this feels like the great sorting of, you know, in American culture, that this senior year getting into college. But we always say, you've heard us say, that the kids aren't done yet, and I think even though they will be done at BHS in a few months, they are not done yet. And so reward the hard work, you know, praise them for that. I think, you know, some people will have very linear paths when they leave here, some people have very circuitous paths here. And I think both of those are really valuable. And, you know, this isn't a sorting, we're not done in June, you're not done when you get college acceptance. There's hard work ahead of them, there's, you know, great experiences, great rewards coming up. So this is just one step on the journey.
Questions for us?
So I can do a couple of them here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, got right. So do you want, or do you want to stand there? That's
what
what
I said.
over here, yeah. So this is my question, like, it's a worry that they'll get everything in on time. That's a big worry, I think, among parents. Will they get everything in on time? Is there a way to check up how frequently should they proactively be checking up on whether they get getting everything in on time for the college application process? What are people doing about that?
Yeah, so that's the push and pull I think we talked about when Lenny Livingston gave his whole thing, and you know, he said it's that freedom and responsibility. You know, you're gonna let your kid go and then do it, because once they miss that first deadline, that's it, right? You're not gonna like miss the first deadline, and you're gonna be on them. But you know, Naviance is the method by which they are applying, and you know, you could make an appointment. I think one strategy was, one senior said that every 2 weeks they sit down, and that's when they talk about college. So it's kind of a time every other Friday they sit down and talk. So at that time you could sit down and open up Naviance and see what activity has happened, and if they've met those deadlines.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a list person, and I recommend tell students make a spreadsheet, just, you know, schools, deadlines, whether they have supplements, and then you get the satisfaction of checking things off, you know, one at a time.
This was just a question about senior photos. They didn't sign up, but they already have an email about an appointment for senior photos.
That's coming up Thursday.
Yeah, emails today or yesterday. You can cancel it or accept it or change it. I did today.
So you don't have to accept
You
it.
don't have to, you can
accept
actually
it.
reject it.
You already have a photo, you don't have to use the
Yeah,
school
you
photo.
can use a different.
Right.
Right.
And you don't have, right.
My understanding, I was
Yes.
told.
Oh, no, sure. They do it, and then they show you, and if you like it, you buy it. But yeah,
But you
They
don't have
bring
to.
their own picture in, right?
Yes.
there are requirements, but yes, it can't be. It has to be sort of a formal-ish photo.
So open it up to other questions?
Yeah.
I have a question about deadlines. So So, like, something has to be done by a certain date, but you have to like send in like transcripts. How much time should the child give to school?
It's 1 month.
1 month.
Yeah, they should all know that. 1 month before the deadline is when, and that's when we guarantee our stuff will be on time. Yeah.
So, my question email, the Common App crashed or something crashed.
Yeah.
Deadline, so should that be something people should be keeping in mind as this December 31st deadline crashes, the approaches, maybe try to get it done ahead of time? Or do people just not panic when the system crashes?
So I think both. I think who said, was it Ava? Who said, she tricks herself into the deadlines? Like, yes, the deadline is December 31st. Let's pretend it's the 27th. And then if we miss it, we're on the 28th and we're good. So that's a great strategy.
I mean, a blizzard in
Great strategy,
Massachusetts
right,
and,
right.
Electricity and internet and the long weekend. Yeah. So maybe we should just at this point, anybody wants to stay and ask some questions, can you do that? Yeah.
PTO has cookies and water.
Yes, cookies and water over there.
And you have your tip sheet from the peer leaders that in front of you there, you can take home and.
Can I ask the crowd a question?
Yeah.
My name is Martha Huntley, and we have 2 boys that already graduated, and our sweet Elizabeth is, our last one here. And as I look around at back to school night, there's so many people that I've not seen because, it's not the season for their sport or whatever. And there's just, there's that departure for us too, as parents. Some of us, some of you have kids that are still in younger grades. But I just wanted to kind of maybe get a show of hands if anyone would be interested if we were to put out there like a simple friends and family, party night, a dance night, a little bit of a fundraiser, but on the cheap. Would people be interested in having a night you can come together?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thinking like it could be, maybe the tickets are $25, $30, I don't know, but it, we pair basic expenses, simple. And then the money can, contribute to other things, for our grade, whether it's, So you've got to thinking maybe it's a potluck, maybe it's in the gym, so I need to talk to the powers that be, but I just wanted to get a sense from others, if you were maybe feeling the same way.
Yeah, get it done, Martha.
Okay, good, so I'll look further into it. Thanks.
Great.
So looking at the class.
Yeah.
I think it's so wonderful to hear those seniors up there. It really makes me hopeful. They're so equipped, so self-aware, these kids. And they talk about and they hear about pressure and stress and competition. And that's largely where we come in. We own a good piece of that. And I would just tell 2 quick quips. We have 2 daughters, and our first one has gone on wonderfully for VHS in school. And she came down one morning in a bathrobe with some orange juice, and a friend who she didn't know was walking to the kitchen and got right into her face and barked, "Where are you going?" And she was incensed. There's no escape from it. There's no escape from it. I was in Trader Joe's the other day, and a well-meaning guy who we've known since kindergarten yells across 2 aisles, "Where is your daughter going?" And I didn't respond very well. So I loved hearing tonight about cool it, but maybe we can get other people to cool it, because it's really amped up.
Right, prep the relatives, right, what they were saying about Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like they're dreading seeing the relatives that they don't
But
usually
it's on the
see.
street corners, in
Sure.
the supermarkets, it's in the pictures. So I think we all get it. It was great to hear from everyone tonight. But maybe we can go tell 3 people that can tell 3 people. Maybe we can.
There's actually a T-shirt you can get that says, "Please don't ask me about college." Thanksgiving
How about
Day.
STFU?
Go ahead.
Yes.
So I just have a comment. So my son used used to come home, you know, very, very stressed. Mom, we were talking about this and this happened. I don't think they get it that it's not a good thing to talk about these things. And I actually told him, I said, why are you discussing it with, and you're not just talking about his friends in school, somebody in Taekwondo, somebody here, somebody there. Mom, he said this is what I should do. He said that is what I should do. I said to him, Mom, I think I'm making the wrong decisions. I said to him, why are you talking to the whole world about it? Do they all know you? I mean, how well do you know all these people? And it was like this light bulb went off in his head. You know, he looked at me and said, oh, that's a good idea. And he was actually doing that. He'd tell me, he said, Mom, somebody asked me and I said, nothing. And I just walked out. So, and he's actually much happier of that. He didn't strike his little brain, bless his soul, that he could actually say, I don't want to talk about it.
That's great.
But in the other hand, piggyback on your point, in the other hand, I'm a mom for a senior. She's first in the family to go to college. We are from different country, never did the application here. And we learned so much, we got so much information from friends, a lot of time way before the school gave the information to us. And it's really important information. And if the kid really want to go to the best school, you need this information. That sharing information, it's great. I mean, and some parents want to talk about it to get the information. But to get some tips from others, it's not necessarily bad idea.
Yeah, I think parent to parent is good. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, if I could just add, the first tip on here is take your child's lead. So if in fact your kid needs a little bit of help and wants to sort of hold his peers and say, what are you doing and what should I do and what do you have coming up, that could be very helpful to him. Whereas for another parent, you know, if the kid is saying, oh my God, everybody won't shut up about college, then the advice is to say, you know what, let's have a moratorium on this conversation. I just actually want to introduce Karen Campbell, who put together this tip sheet, and she puts together for all our meetings that we do sort of notes and then sends them out to the whole class. So even though here you would have 80 parents or so who came in and had this discussion, this will go out to the entire senior class. So your wonderful comment back there, your wonderful comment will also, you know, you shared it with this group, and you shared it about the card, that will go out to the entire class, thanks to Karen in her note taking. I also want to thank June Harris, who put together the meeting and helps us to organize all this as well. So, thank you for